In a world filled with noise, the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius reminds us that silence is more than the absence of speech. It is a form of strength, a discipline, a practice in wisdom. There are moments in life when silence isn't just recommended, it's essential. And in those moments, what you don't say speaks louder than what you could have said. When you're angry, your mind is not your own. It's hijacked by emotion. In that moment, silence becomes your armor. Marcus Aurelius once said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" Anger demands a response, but a wise person refuses. When you feel the storm rising within, don't lash out. Don't explain. Don't argue. Say nothing. Let it pass. That is power. There are times when no amount of talking will change anything. The other person may be set in their view, lost in their own noise, unwilling to truly listen. Speaking becomes wasted breath. Silence, then, becomes the highest form of understanding. Aurelius reminds us again and again, what you cannot control, let go. And one of the hardest things to let go of is the urge to be right. When someone insults you, it's easy to react. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us that the insult reveals more about them than it ever will about you. You are not wounded by the insult itself, but by your interpretation of it. So why respond? What do you prove by replying to cruelty with more words? To be silent in the face of insult is not defeat. It is transcendence. Let the insult fall to the floor, unanswered. Let it disappear into nothing. Judging without full knowledge is like navigating with broken instruments. You only see part of the picture. You only know part of the truth. How often have you spoken too soon, only to later regret it? Aurelius warns against speaking on matters we do not fully understand. Better to stay quiet than to speak wrongly. Better to hold back than to assume. The wise person waits, listens, observes, and only speaks when the path is clear. Sometimes, silence is a gift. When someone is venting, suffering, unraveling, they don't always need your advice. They need your presence, your patience, your stillness. The world is full of people trying to fix others. But not everyone needs fixing. Some just need space. Listening without interruption is an act of compassion. And silence, in that moment, is louder than any words of advice. Praise, too, can be dangerous. It feeds the ego. It stirs the need for approval. Marcus Aurelius warned himself never to grow too fond of praise. He reminded himself that he was just a man, like any other. When others praise you, take it silently. Let it pass through you. Do not cling to it, or build your identity around it. Let your work speak for itself. Let your silence show your strength. Because true confidence needs no applause. There are lessons people must learn on their own. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is nothing. Not because you don't care, but because you respect their journey. Words, even wise ones, can interfere. They can rob someone of the struggle they need, the pain that shapes them, the challenge that reveals their strength. Be there, but be silent. Let them grow. Emotions are like waves, powerful, temporary, and often deceptive. When emotions are high, logic is low. Speaking in that state rarely ends well. When you feel overwhelmed, pause. Withdraw. Say nothing. Give yourself space to feel, to process, to return to clarity. Marcus Aurelius practiced stillness not just in action, but in words. And so should we. Talking for the sake of talking is the enemy of depth. In our world, silence makes people uncomfortable. We feel we must fill every pause, answer every question, respond to every message. But silence isn't awkward, it's sacred. Not everything needs to be said. Not every thought needs to be shared. Speak only when it improves upon the silence. If it doesn't, don't. Beyond these situations, silence continues to be a powerful guide. When you are criticized, silence can be your boundary. When you are confused, silence becomes reflection. When you are surrounded by chaos, silence becomes clarity. Marcus Aurelius didn't speak to be heard. He spoke to understand. And more often, he didn't speak at all, he wrote. He observed. He reflected. His words were carved in silence. Every day, you will be tested. Someone will provoke you. Something will trigger you. A moment will demand your reaction. But in that moment, remember this, silence is never empty. It is full of awareness, full of self-control, full of strength. When you choose not to speak, you are not doing nothing. You are doing something rare. You are practicing wisdom. So the next time you feel the urge to respond, to defend yourself, to justify, to lash out, to explain, try something different. Try saying nothing. Try just listening. Try just breathing. Try just being. In that silence, you will hear something deeper, something more honest, yourself. And if you can master that, even for a moment, you are already walking the path of the Stoic. One silent step at a time. The world often equates silence with weakness. But silence is not a retreat, it is a choice. A conscious decision to rise above the noise. Marcus Aurelius lived in a time of chaos, of war, of politics and pressure. And yet, in the pages of his journal, he returned again and again to stillness. He knew that in stillness, we find clarity. And in silence, we find strength. Not everything needs a reply. Not every invitation to conflict needs to be accepted. When someone gossips, stay silent. When someone provokes, stay still. Let others waste their energy. Let others be ruled by impulse. You, however, must remain grounded. The Stoic does not react, he responds. And often, the response is silence. There is wisdom in knowing when your words will help, and when they will only add confusion. Speak when it brings value. Remain silent when it brings peace. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not every situation benefits from your input. Some things resolve themselves when left alone. Let silence do its work. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." What does that mean? It means you don't repay rudeness with rudeness. You don't answer insult with insult. When someone attacks your character, remain unmoved. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. You don't have to argue your value. You know who you are. Let that be enough. When you walk into a room full of opinions, don't be the loudest. Be the calmest. Let others talk over each other, trying to be heard. You, listen. Observe. Take in the landscape of thoughts. And when the moment comes to speak, your words will carry weight, because they come from patience, not impulse. The Stoics believed that everything begins within. Your peace. Your reactions. Your silence. When the outside world spins wildly, you can return to yourself. To your breath. To your center. And in that stillness, you'll realize, most things don't need a response. Most situations don't need your voice. They just need time. You are not obligated to attend every argument you're invited to. You are not responsible for fixing every misunderstanding. Your silence can be a boundary. A powerful, invisible wall that protects your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Choose your words like gold. Spend them only where they matter. When you don't know what to say, don't say anything. There is no shame in waiting. No weakness in listening. Marcus Aurelius himself reminded us that nature gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, for a reason. Listen twice. Speak once. Or speak not at all. Let others rush to conclusions. Let them speak without thinking. Let them fill the space with noise. You will do something different. You will make space. You will be the still water while others are turbulent waves. And from that stillness will come a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. When you're with someone in pain, let your silence be your empathy. You don't always need the right words. You don't need to fix what cannot be fixed. Just being there, quietly, fully present, is often enough. People remember your presence more than your phrases. The world doesn't need more opinions. It needs more wisdom. And wisdom is often born in silence. In long walks alone. In the quiet moments before sleep. in the pages of a journal, in the breath between stimulus and response. That is where strength is forged. That is where self-mastery lives. Sometimes, silence is not for others. It's for you. To hear your own thoughts. To sift through the noise of daily life. To understand what truly matters. To decide what is worth your energy and what is not. You cannot find peace if you're always speaking. You cannot hear truth if you never stop talking. Speak when you are calm. Speak when you are clear. Speak when it adds meaning. But when you are unsure, angry, tired, hurt, or confused, say nothing. Let the silence guide you home. You are not your reactions. You are not your anger. You are not your pride. You are something deeper, something quieter. And that part of you, the inner stillness, is where your true power lives. In that stillness, you are untouchable. No insult can shake you. No chaos can move you. Because you have trained yourself to observe first and speak later, if at all. Marcus Aurelius did not seek fame. He did not argue for recognition. He quietly ruled an empire, and privately wrestled with his thoughts. He wrote, not for the world, but for himself. And in doing so, he left behind wisdom that still echoes today. So when the world gets loud, return to silence. When others demand a response, choose calm. When your thoughts race, be still. This is not withdrawal. This is mastery. Let others wonder why you don't react. Let them be confused by your peace. You owe them no explanation. You owe yourself your growth. And growth often happens in silence. You don't need to prove anything. Not today. Not ever. You only need to walk the path. With quiet dignity. With unshakable presence. With the calm of someone who knows that nothing outside can disturb the fortress they've built within. And so, you move forward, not with noise, not with reaction, not with anger, but with silence. One breath at a time. One choice at a time. One quiet act of courage at a time. This is how the Stoic endures. Not through resistance, but through stillness. This is how the Stoic endures. Not through resistance, but through stillness. Stillness is not the absence of life, it is the refinement of it. A deliberate pause. A mindful breath. A quiet strength that doesn't need to shout. You carry this power with you always. It doesn't matter where you are, on a crowded train, in a heated conversation, in the middle of chaos. This inner stillness is always available. It is your anchor. When the opinions of others try to define you, return to silence. When the fear of judgment tempts you to over-explain, return to silence. When your mind spins stories about what could go wrong, about what they might think, or what you might lose, come back to silence. Not all problems require effort. Not every obstacle needs to be pushed through. Some dissolve when you no longer feed them with attention. Some disappear when you stop trying to control the outcome. The Stoic understands this. Effort is important, but so is surrender. And surrender begins in silence. Marcus Aurelius knew that nothing lasts. Every moment is already fading. Every emotion is passing through. Why cling to anger? Why grasp for validation? Why rush to speak when silence already knows? You are not here to win arguments. You are not here to impress strangers. You are here to live with integrity. To walk your path, steadily, quietly, honestly. The less you speak, the more you listen. And the more you listen, the more you learn. About others. About yourself. About the subtle rhythm of life that can only be heard when the noise dies down. In silence, you remember what matters. The distractions fall away. The superficial fades. You return to what is true, your values, your reason, your nature. And so, you begin to move differently. You stop reacting to every provocation. You stop explaining your worth. You no longer feel the need to be understood. Because you understand yourself. People may not understand your silence. They may mistake it for indifference or weakness. Let them. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be at peace with yourself. And peace rarely announces itself. It arrives quietly, and it stays with those who welcome it. Let others fill the air with noise. Let them chase validation. You, chase clarity. Chase calm. Let your actions speak. Let your discipline speak. Let your presence speak. And when they ask how you remain so grounded, so calm, so unaffected, you won't need to say a word. Your silence will already have answered. There is no rush. No need to prove. No need to compete. The Stoic knows that every step forward begins with stillness. And in that stillness, you find patience, resilience, focus. Life will continue to test you. People will disappoint you. Situations will frustrate you. But the inner sanctuary remains untouched if you protect it, if you return to it, if you trust it. So, practice it daily, not as an escape, but as a homecoming. Sit with your thoughts. Listen without reacting. Observe without judging. Speak less. Reflect more. This is not passivity, it is strength refined. Sharp as a blade. Quiet as the dawn. And over time, you will notice the shift. You'll speak with more care. Choose your words as if they cost you something, because they do. You'll stop wasting energy on things that drain you. You'll conserve your power for what truly matters. And you'll become someone others look to, not because you demand attention, but because your presence commands it. This is the way of the Stoic. Not cold, not distant, but centered, grounded, whole. It begins in silence, and it never truly ends.